Most people wake up each day hoping life will change, but they never change themselves. Have you ever looked at your reflection and quietly whispered, "There's more to me than this"? Because deep inside, beneath the noise, the pressure, the routine, there's a silent war raging between the life you have and the life you know you were born to live. Let me tell you something most won't. The difference between the rich and the poor is not money. It's mindset. It's not about what's in your bank account. It's about what's in your heart, your habits, and your head. A story you'll never forget. Years ago, there was a boy from a broken home. He had no father, no money, no mentors, just a tired mother and a crowded apartment. One day he came home from school and found his mom crying. They had been evicted again. In that moment he made a vow, not a loud one, not a cinematic speech, just a whisper in the dark, "I will never live like this again." So he worked, while others partied. He studied, while others slept. He failed, many times, but he never gave in. Today he owns not just one home but multiple businesses. He didn't win because he was lucky. He won because he did what the 99% are not willing to do. Number 1. Mindset is the true divide, not money. From the outside, it's easy to believe that money is what separates the successful from the struggling. That the difference between the one who thrives and the one who barely survives is the number in their bank account. But look deeper. Look beneath the surface of wealth and poverty, and you'll find that the true dividing line is invisible. It's the mindset. Because the richest person with a poor mindset can lose everything, while a broke person with the right mindset can build an empire from nothing. A poor mindset sees limits everywhere. It believes that the world is unfair, that opportunity is for the lucky, and that success is only for the chosen few. It clings to excuses like armor. "I wasn't born with it. I didn't have the right support. It's too late for me." The poor mindset is reactive. It waits for chances instead of creating them. It hides from discomfort and avoids risk, even if that risk could lead to freedom. It fears failure more than it desires growth, and so it stays exactly where it is. Meanwhile, the rich mindset thinks differently, even if the person holding it doesn't have money yet. It sees obstacles as stepping stones. It treats failure as feedback. It values learning over looking good. A rich mindset doesn't envy success, it studies it. It doesn't ask, "Why don't I have what they have?" It asks, "What did they do to get it? And what can I learn from it?" The rich mindset takes ownership of everything: the wins, the losses, the actions, and even the inaction. The Stoics taught that we must control what is within our power and release attachment to what is not. The poor mindset violates this principle. It fixates on what it can't change: the economy, other people's opinions, the past. It surrenders its energy to things it cannot move, while ignoring the one thing it can shape: its own thinking. The rich mindset, by contrast, is deeply stoic in nature. It draws strength from within. It does not wait for perfect conditions. It moves with intention, no matter the storm. This is why two people can start from the same place and end in completely different worlds. One blames the system, the other studies it. One sees a dead end, the other sees a detour. One complains about the job they hate for 30 years. The other uses that same job as fuel to build something better after hours. It's not their paycheck that set them apart. It's their perspective. And perspective is everything, because the way you see the world determines what you're willing to do in it. What many call luck is often just mindset in motion. The person who shows up early, stays late, learns relentlessly, and refuses to make excuses will naturally collide with opportunity. Not because the universe favored them, but because their mindset kept them moving while others stood still. Even failure in the hands of the right mindset becomes a gift, because it teaches, because it humbles, because it sharpens the will. The poor mindset runs from failure. The rich mindset is forged by it. Wealth, in its highest form, starts in the mind. It starts with the belief that you are not a victim of your circumstances, you are the author of your future. That no matter how broken your past, you can write a better ending. The rich mindset takes this truth seriously. It sees time as its most valuable asset. It doesn't scroll endlessly, gossip, or dwell in comparison. It creates, it plans, it executes. While others are hoping, it is building. While others are waiting, it is moving. And that's the ultimate divide, not money, not status, not background, but thought. A mind that's free, focused, and disciplined will always find a way to rise. A mind that is distracted, bitter, and afraid will always find a reason to stay small. Shift your mindset, and you change your entire direction. This is not motivational fluff. It's one of the most ancient and enduring truths. Your thoughts shape your fate, and those who master their minds master their lives. 2. Success requires doing what the 99% avoid. Most people want success. They speak of dreams, goals, and purpose like they're already on the path. But the truth is almost no one is willing to pay the price. Because real success doesn't come from hoping. It comes from doing especially the hard things. Especially the things the 99% avoid. It's in the early mornings, the late nights, the silent sacrifices, and the moments no one claps for you that greatness is born. The majority avoid discomfort like it's a disease. They crave ease, routine, and the illusion of safety. They'd rather scroll than study, sleep in rather than sacrifice. Talk about goals instead of walk toward them. This is the quiet tragedy of modern life, people drowning in potential but starving for discipline. The 99% do what feels good in the moment, but the 1% do what builds good for a lifetime. It's not about talent. It's about tolerance for the grind. The Stoics believed that adversity is not something to flee from but something to embrace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The 1% take this seriously. They lean into challenges because they know the obstacle is not their enemy, it's their training. Most avoid the fire. The 1% step into it and come out forged. They choose what others run from: silence, solitude, repetition, rejection. They do it all because they see what it leads to. When everyone else is trying to be entertained, the 1% are trying to evolve. While others are numbing themselves from pain, they are learning to endure it. Because they know comfort never made anyone legendary. Greatness lies just beyond the border of what most are willing to tolerate. And that border is where the 1% build their homes. The bodybuilders who train in pain. The entrepreneurs who risk failure. The artists who wake up at dawn. The people who are laughed at until they're celebrated. Success requires isolation, not forever, but for a season. And most will never taste it, because they can't bear the loneliness of building. They want the glory, but not the grind. They want the outcome, but not the process. But here's the unfiltered truth. If you do what the 99% are doing, you'll live how the 99% are living, paycheck to paycheck, stressed, distracted, and wondering what could have been. The top 1% don't wish for better circumstances, they create them through uncommon effort. This path isn't sexy, it's not glamorous, it's long, boring, repetitive. It's a road filled with invisible wins and silent progress. But while the world is busy looking for shortcuts, the 1% are sharpening their character. They're stacking days of focus, weeks of effort, and months of resilience. Then one day the world sees the success and calls it overnight. But the ones who walked the path know it was anything but. Even when no one is watching, even when there's no applause, the 1% show up. They do the work in private so they can live free in public. They master their emotions, habits, and time. They say no to distractions the 99% indulge in every day because they understand one sacred truth: your daily choices are your destiny in disguise. And if you want a different future, you must live a different present. Success is not about luck or lineage. It's about grit. About having the inner strength to do the hard thing again and again when most would quit. If you want to rise above average, you must walk a path average people refuse to walk. Do the hard things. Make the hard choices. And become the kind of person who no longer fears the grind, but welcomes it as the price for living free. 3. Stoic power: control the inner world. In a world that moves faster than ever, chaos feels inescapable. News feeds, notifications, opinions, they scream for your attention, your energy, your peace. Most people live in reaction. One bad comment, one piece of bad news, one rough morning, and their entire day is derailed. But the ones who truly rise, the ones who stand calm in the storm, are those who've mastered not the world around them, but the world within. The Stoics taught that you cannot control events, only your response to them. This is the root of unshakable power. Not in manipulating outcomes, but in mastering your perception. You don't choose every circumstance, but you do choose what it means to you. And that meaning determines your emotion, your action, your destiny. The weak are pulled by the external. The strong are rooted in the internal. They live by principle, not impulse. When pain comes, most people run or numb it, but the Stoic trained mind leans in. It studies the pain. It asks, what is this here to teach me? Most people argue with reality. The wise adapt to it. They don't waste time wishing things were different. They focus on who they must become to rise, even when things are difficult. Especially when they are difficult, because that's when the shaping begins, in discomfort, not in ease. Inner power begins the moment you stop reacting and start reflecting. When you feel anger, and instead of unleashing it, you observe it. When fear rises, and instead of running, you ask where it's pointing you. This doesn't make you passive. It makes you precise. Because now you're not at the mercy of emotion. You're using emotion as data, as direction. This level of control is rare. That's why peace is rare. But it is possible. And it is earned. The majority live like leaves in the wind, blown around by traffic, bills, social media, gossip, and fear. But the 1% live like mountains. Still. Grounded. Solid. Not because life is easy, but because they've built something unshakable within. They don't react to every opinion or setback. They protect their energy like a fortress. Not everything deserves a reaction. Not every battle is worth fighting. They choose where their mind goes, and that is the ultimate freedom. Control over the inner world also means taking responsibility for your thoughts. Your mind is not a dumping ground for fear, doubt, and chaos. It's a garden, and what you allow to grow there shapes everything you do. Most people plant weeds and wonder why their life is a mess, but those with Stoic clarity guard their minds. They filter what they consume. They speak to themselves with strength. They don't wait for motivation, they generate it. There's power in stillness, in pausing before you act, in thinking before you speak, in choosing your response. These are not small things. These are rare things. And rare things are valuable. To live this way is not to be emotionless, it is to be emotionally intelligent. To feel but not be ruled by feeling. To hurt but not be broken by it. To fall but rise with even greater focus. That is the Stoic spirit. That is real power. You will never have full control over the world, but you can always control your choices, your thoughts, your discipline, your character. That's where your strength is. That's where your freedom lives. While others are trying to bend the world to fit their comfort, you will rise by shaping yourself to face the world, no matter how uncertain it becomes. The difference between those who rise and those who remain isn't money, connections, or luck. It's something much quieter, something invisible. It's the mindset, the inner world from which every outer result flows. Long before success is seen, it is planted in thought. Long before a dream is achieved, it is protected by discipline, courage, and the refusal to quit when things get hard. Most people spend their lives watching others live. They wait for the right moment, the right mood, the right miracle. But those who break through, those who rise above average, make a different choice. They stop waiting and they start creating. They stop complaining and they start building. They reject the comfort that keeps them small and instead choose the discomfort that helps them grow. The truth is simple: the majority run from pain. They fear failure. They avoid effort. They follow the crowd. And because of that, they stay in the same cycle year after year. But those who lead themselves down a higher path do what the 99% won't. They get up early. They master their habits. They study the game instead of criticizing the players. They work in silence while the world distracts itself. They don't chase validation, they chase evolution. Life will test you. It will shake your plans, frustrate your timing, and stretch your patience. But the ones who endure with strength are those who've built something strong within. Stoic wisdom teaches us that we cannot control all events, but we can always control our response. And in that space between what happens and how we respond lies our greatest power. To live this way is not easy. It demands awareness. It demands responsibility. It demands a kind of self-mastery that most will never pursue, but you must. Because your peace, your success, your future, all of it depends on the state of your inner world. A disciplined mind is a liberated life, and in that stillness, even in the storm, you will find the strength to carry on. So let this truth stay with you. Your circumstances are not your ceiling, your mindset is. The crowd will always do what's easy. They will always choose temporary comfort over long-term growth. But you are not here to be part of the crowd. You are here to rise, to endure, to choose the higher path, even when no one is watching. Do the hard things. Train your mind. Guard your peace. Build your habits like your future depends on it, because it does. Every day, you are either creating the life you want or allowing the world to choose it for you. Thank you for listening. May you walk with strength, choose with wisdom, and rise with purpose. Stay grounded. Stay focused. God bless you.